Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew, and I got more comics for you. Captain America, he's tied with Iron Man as my favorite characters. So when I was growing up and I saw a Marvel double feature that had both characters, I was above the moon. But a couple years later, they would have these little mini comic conventions specifically, at this place called Conley's Motor Inn, which is in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And it would be 4 times a year. And I didn't have an allowance or anything, but every time that show was around, my dad would give me a nice 20. And 20 books in a quarter box. You came home with a nice sack of comics. And I would splurge. I got a really nice copy of issue 80 of Tales of Suspense with Red Skull, and that was a splurge, but it was just so good getting these old comics. It's just little by little I started getting more and more into them, and I still like the reprints they're just a time capsule from when I was a kid. And in the 70s, when they did reprints of books like this era, they always cut out at least 2 pages, and a lot of times if it was a Kirby book, they would take out a whole splash page that didn't advance the story per se. It was kind of clever how they did it, even though it sucks. But now for another digression. This is one of the original Marvel Masterworks from 1988, or is it 89? I'll have to look. They were $34 at the time. And this was spearheaded by then new editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco, who now has his own Marvel Masterworks of the Spider-Man era he did with Ron Frenz, which is pretty cool. But anyway, the embossing is so good. I forgot to mention this, but on the episode I discussed Sandy Plunkett, he designed all this, and it got embossed. But the problem is, years later, let me get this up much later. It's not. Well, that's still not so bad, but they've cheapened out on the, see how much fainter Daredevil is, and how fainter. I'll even turn it around just to let you see. Let's see. Yeah, you can still see the difference. There's still a marked difference with Thor, the shadows. See, but anyway, okay, enough of that. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite stories. And it's really odd that Chuck Dixon brought this up last week in his Ask Chuck Dixon episode. His channel. He had. I gotta make room over here. Okay. Talk among yourselves. Now, a lot of these stories I didn't know until I saw the 1966 poorly animated but delightfully produced, otherwise, cartoon series of the Marvel superheroes, which was Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and Submariner. I didn't like Submariner, at least at the time. The stories at the time were not that exciting, in my opinion. I had no real knowledge of the Golden Age Submariner, which is the real Submariner. And people don't seem to know what to do with him anymore. Anyway, with Submariner, what was I talking about Submariner about? I thought to myself, why couldn't the 5th cartoon be Daredevil or Giant Man? But at least Daredevil had better stories. So I first came across this story about the Red Skull and the 3 Sleepers on the cartoon. In fact, I'm almost certain it was the very first episode of the first Captain America cartoon. And Wally Wood is it Wally Wood ain't there? No, George Tuska. Okay, this is one of those things where I mentioned before, in the Silver Age and even in the Bronze Age and beyond, there have been occasions where they would have another established artist, who's already an artist in his own right for many years, work over Jack Kirby's layouts to get the Marvel feel, essentially the Kirby feel, the dynamics. And so he tells an old story about, but I remember this being within 30 seconds into the cartoon, he's like, "You fool! The final battle has yet been fought. Now, 20 years later, the fruits of victory shall be mine." And my wife actually, when she was little, that scared the hell out of her. She doesn't like. To this day, she don't like to see the red skull. And it goes back to where he ends up at suspended animation. And but I mean, I was just so excited. Real classic face there. And well, give me a second. My invincible sleepers will carry on for me. Sleepers? Even now they lay hidden deep within Germany, where they can never find them, waiting for Der Tag 20 years from now, when they will awake. Der Tag, the day the secret Nazi master players I was sent to uncover and smash. Where are they? Talk! It's too late. You can't threaten me now. There are 3 sleepers. And when they awake, the Third Reich will rise again. I just remembered. Oh, it's like an alarm. It was 20 years now. Oh, a little sidebar. This was fascinating. The skull was fascinating to me, and the World War II stuff was fascinating only because this came out in 64, 65, and I was watching these on a UHF channel, reruns. It was channel 53. The kind of show, it was like the only TV that would always be on when the big networks would, close their doors at, 12 at night and just put on a test pattern. Well, anyway, so it was only 30 years in my time. And that, when you think back 30 years, it wasn't that far along. I was still thinking that's what made it so masterful in this, no pun intended, is that because it had the gravity of history. And, so it's 30 years ago. And, I look at myself now. I always start my show by saying, I'm a 30-year comic book industry veteran. Well, 30 years is a lot less time when you're in your very young, middle to late middle age. Like me. So here comes the sleeper. These agents, they were sleeper agents in reality, and then they had some in Argentina, I think, and some other places. And all of a sudden, Kirby turned into a Tuska character with those big old choppers. So here he comes. Zoom, zoom, zoom. I have to cover the symbol because we live in a very stupid era of algorithms. I had to cover every dumb, you know what that symbol is. The red skulls. Not just red skulls. But, okay, well, Caps, this is great, though. It's great to give Tuska an issue like this to start off, to get familiar with the dynamics. And there he goes. I'm gonna stop you with my big spiky foot. No luck. This made for fun animation too, but I mean, yeah, the animation was really not that great. I think what it was it was cool seeing like the Kirby art, and the Ditko arc on Hulk was really good in the cartoon because his stuff was so malleable. It wasn't as hardened as Kirby's, and I mean that in a good way. Where walks the sleeper? Now here's a big thing though. This is one of the early Marvel Masterworks, and it wasn't until Marvel Masterworks lasted for 27 issues. Around 1992, they closed the program. That's what they call these kind of things, a program. And back in 2000, I think, it might have been Tom Brevoort or somebody who brought back the Masterworks program. They resumed the numbers and the issues. But back here, there's no covers. They don't reprint the covers. And now they do, but it's just... but I have purchased a few omnibus. I even actually have a cap omnibus of this. I don't double dip a lot unless it's one of my top favorite characters. But the colors are true too. You get the covers, plus these colors are not the original. I mean, look at this like airbrush effect here. Let me zoom in here. See, it's a little overdone, and it's not. It's just not. It's not what a comic would look like in 1965. And strike that with the strongest shovel. It is done. Boom. And I love the sinister feel of it. And this stingray looking second sleeper came out, and it was spooky. It was kind of creepy looking because It also reminded me of, I mean, years later when they had Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. I remember seeing that as a little kid. It was kind of a movie about pollution stuff, because around 73 or so, I mean, that's when there was started to be more and more awareness about that kind of stuff. And the Smog Monster was, of course, about that. And it had 3 different forms. In fact, now that I think of it, I wonder if the guy, whoever in Toho created that movie, saw this. Because the creature could turn into 3 different things. He could turn into like this big, it looked kind of like the Man Thing. It was like this big head with all this stuff slogging off of him. And then he'd turn into like a manta ray. So, food for thought. If you got any ideas below, please share them. This was easy to animate because it's almost directly, 1, 2, 3. Kirby's done the animation, is what I'm saying. But when they did animated Thor, it was horrible because all his stuff was interactive with other, like in the battle scenes, it was like tons of people, and all they do is shake the panels in front of the camera. So he's on top of this, and I loved it because, I mean, sure, this is corny, but even it's 1975, it wasn't entirely corny because we still had some heap of corniness in our. I don't know, in our entertainment, I guess, back then. But we had a lot of good stuff as well. So I'm not backpedaling. I'm just being fair, covering up those stupid things. Goes along like that, and then there you go. Like Kirby usually really poured on like the splash pages. He made them clear as like there really wasn't much to do. As far as screw around with, you basically, I don't want to say trace carry Kirby. I mean, I'm a tracer. I was a tracer for many years. I was a damn good tracer. Trace with grace, don't do any harm. So, Cap's doodling. He's like, see, first sleeper, second sleeper. You see, they're spot at the top. Yeah. And this is one of those panels they would give you where they would show the trucks would be still, but you would see smoke and coming from behind them. So, but I love the story anyway. I don't care. It's just, well, this guy just turns, sleeper agent goes. All I need to do is turn this raised letter 10 degrees to the right. My heart rejoices at the thought of the glory that shall be mine. Crack. Big old red skull. Although he's not red. But, and he's like, can you imagine what's going to happen? They're going to go to the polar ice caps and la 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 la. See? Beautiful Kirby storytelling. I love that. I mean, Kirby was, he was an infantryman. This is all from his memory, The only time he ever really used reference was later on when he started to do more specific, when he's later in Thor, and then when he hit DC with the New Gods, there were times where he would reference stuff, but it was usually to serve the story. It wasn't like a cheat, He was very well read, had a TV in his room, and it was amazing. He was drawing this great stuff while TV is on. I can't, I can only do the radio. I've tried the TV for like a week, and it didn't work. I found myself slower. I was going twice as slow, and I only enjoyed the TV shows half-assed. I didn't really enjoy them, so I just stuck to listening to music and radio. So anyway, I really love that effect on that second panel that Tuska gave it. Really nice stuff. And this is one of those bloopers that was in the No Prize book that I had in another on my channel that is called Drew Dracy. He gives a speech about the brave and the just and the free, and then the next panel, next issue starts with like this, like he came from an explosion, but it was just a mistake. So the 3 sleepers are all dealt with, and it's like, we could just relax now. But he said 3 sleepers, so au contraire. When wakes the sleeper? It's like, you didn't tell us about the fourth. Come on, man. He's like, dude, you didn't tell me about a fourth. And by the way, I don't have it right here, but the Jack Kirby collector, and if you look online, you can see on the Jack Kirby Museum website that the original Red Skull face there was scary as all shit. It was friggin' scary. So Comics Code wanted to make it simpler and, you know, more cartoony, and that's a shame. But that was a Comics Code. Sid Shores, who worked on Captain America shortly after Simon and Kirby left to go over DC in 1941 or 2, he came back to ink Kirby, and it's really kind of neat. I love more comics need this. They need to separate the planes. I see so many colored comics these days where this is just as shiny as, you know, this guy's photo, you know, camera back there, and that's just not how. It's almost like camera staging. When you hear people talking about, or they're blocking out shots to make sure that the character who's talking, who needs the attention, will be in the frame. That's something Kirby did, and a lot of people did, but that's sort of lost on a lot of people in the last 20 years or so. And, you know, I know I'm saying this as a geezer, but I'm not wrong. At least on that. I'm wrong on a lot of stuff, but not that. But I did like Sid Shore's inking on this. Only thing, though, is having seen the Kirby collector, is that how the faces got simplified. That was kind of... look at that. See, this was a page that got removed from the reprint. And he says, yes, I almost died, blah, 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 blah. And out he goes. That's a flashback. So, that, oh my gosh, that is just the coolest. Love that. And he comes down with this gadget. It's called a, I don't know what it's called. It's like some, Inflato suit. And you know what? Why not? I mean, if he wasn't too high, in fact, he wasn't that high up in the sky compared to what he could have been, I could see Kirby combines his wild sci-fi imagination from reading all the sci-fi books with his military experience, and that's what makes Cap a great character. People have struggled with Cap the last 10 years in the comics, and all I gotta say is, you know, Cap does not have to be... Cap is a super soldier out of time, and he does what's best for the world, not just his country. He's learned that. And the other thing too is, people say, "Oh well, you know, it's got to be political or anything." But my point is, go to read the book, the issues that were responsible for the Captain America movie being made. I'm talking about the Ed Brubaker, Steve Epting / Butch Guice / Mike Perkins era. That it went on for years, and it kept you on the seat, on the edge of your seat. And it was a super spy movie, and it's like he's more of a super spy, and that I would say it's like his mission statement had changed. Where before he'd have to sneak into Germany and do all this stuff. It's like now he goes on missions, and he has his own adventures too. So there's a face right there where Sid Shores. Let me see, I gotta get that face there. Sid Shores took all the Kirby out of that face. That's a shame. Okay, and then there it goes. And there's Sharon / Agent 13, who also appeared in the Brubaker Epting era. Really nice stuff here. Kirby always delivered on the splash pages. Anybody else look at a newspaper in a hospital, and Nick Fury comes in. How do you make that interesting? Well, he did. It's if you had the original art, and if you had this page, it would sit. It would just look great next to any other page of people beating the crap out of each other. So, but yeah, it's kind of neat. It is kind of neat. The one thing about it, though, what I would love to have seen Sid Shore's do is if they had the ability to do just like a second book that took place during World War II, because his has more of a like people say Coletta on Thor, it gives you that kind of misty, distant feeling of ages ago. This sort of has the same kind of feel. And there's the cute and cuddly. Talk about oof. That's, they really took everything out of it. Did he come out yet? Okay, there he is. Sorry, I screwed you all up there. I apologize. When did you first show up? And there she is there. And there he is, the fourth sleeper. He's like, I must not set the alarm like the other dudes. And beautiful page there. That didn't make the reprint. But he can transmute his molecules. He could be like the Vision and lower his density. And look, Cap can't even get to the Isle of the Sleeper without these, paramilitary crazies going after him. I love that. Look at that. That's just there. Think that, bam, and then there, and it's like he did one panel after a time. He never thought out the story. He just knew his instincts would work. And boy, that's a pretty page. And there he is. Whoop, sorry. I bumped into the... here he comes. He's here. Keep the crystal out of his hand. He's too powerful. But, Cap ain't the kind of guy to give up. He just doesn't... And for some reason, he decides to try and take out the legs, but it's like slamming into a mountain. But I guess he was desperate to do anything. And, but as cool and creepy as he is... He's not giant like the first three sleepers, so I thought he was kind of cool on his own, but he didn't have anybody attached to either. It would have been interesting to see if a fourth sleeper would be. Hold on a second, I bumped my camera. Anyway, I'm doing this all wrong. Okay, there. Okay, I'm a mess. So it's like he wasn't built to have an adaptation to put onto the first three sleepers. So I would have thought that would have been kind of... But the story's so good. It's like... It's not frightfully original. Her passion and her fear for Steve causes the sleeper to fade. It's like, it sickens me. I'll get you. So that's it. That is the fourth and final sleeper. The final sleeper. Okay. Here we go. Better. Okay. Quite along in the Masterworks here. This is volume 6. I mean, once they started really going to town on this, it's great how every month they have a new John Romita era. I'll have to do a whole episode on just the John Romita era of Cap. So anyway, they're fighting Hydra, Cap and Falcon, and Falcon finally gets some. He's officially on the team. They're a team. At the time, you had Daredevil and the Black Widow, and then there was some other couple that was in. They were trying these different things out. They almost put Iron Man and Daredevil in the same book because the sales were so weak. But they ended up making just the short-lived reprint series. I think they put them in later issues of Marvel Tales. I don't know. I'm getting off track again. So, John Verporten. He's great anchor man. Gonna jump ahead. Story's not sale yet. What's going on? He discovers the leader of the Supreme Hydra is Wilson Fisk's son, who was last seen in... Wait a second. I did jump ahead, didn't I? Oh, and it turned out that Kingpin's son was the terrible planner. And that's Vanessa, Kingpin's wife. And... whoop, I'm blowing. I'm messing everything up. Well, what happens is, after a good fight, Falcon orders Red Wing to rescue Cap because he's about to get taken out. Yeah, right there. I love that. I loved how eventually Professor X discerned that the Falcon was a mutant and he had a special mental connection with Red Wing. I love that. I wish I could have done it in the movies, but I know how high octane movies are these days, and the places that Falcon can now go to, Red Wing wouldn't be able to keep up. Hate to say it. Sorry, Red Wing. Okay, well then there is the big sleep, but it is a warning, and you're not told who until I blew it. So Captain America and the Falcon. You have a chance against the fifth sleeper, and he's probably like, again. There is a mystery here. There's no inker credited, but it's unmistakably John Buscema. Unmistakably. See, this should have been issue 150 because it ends with issue 148. But 149 and 150 are so shitty. They have the Stranger, that awful character with the white beard who appeared in Silver Surfer 5, and then later, well, he shows up first with like looking exactly the same with a black beard and a slightly different costume, and the big reveal is he's the he's the Stranger, and it's like and Cap and Falcon were in like outer space in these tubes and shit, and it was awful. It was awful. They should have just extended this a little bit. So, here comes the fifth and final sleeper. We'll see about that. Oddly enough, he does not have that symbol on his chest that the other ones had, or the first three did. And he's big. He actually kind of looks. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, he really went for the Kirby. He decided to make it more Kirby because the first three sleepers were meant to be put together. And wouldn't that be cool if they made toys of the sleepers and you can put them together and have Captain America climb on top? It's just maybe a dork. I can't help it. Okay. Yeah, so the only thing that's a little odd is that he's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so he's not really doing a lot of destruction, it seems. Give me that. I'm going all over the place. At least you can admire the art. Now, Las Vegas city limits. So... you'd probably be doing a lot of gamblers a lot of good. So, although I'd love to see the rack pack there. And this one actually talks retreat or face instant obliteration. So speaks the sleeper. So, I mean, it's scary, but he's not flying over cities blasting them. It kind of takes the wind out of the sails, so to speak. Falcon gets Red Wing to take out the gun from. There was all this stuff on here from World War II crap, and he falls. Oh no! Like this, too late. Must have hit a slick spot on the floor, caused him to topple through the rear visual slit. I would have been like, for one thing, you shouldn't have a visual slit, but second of all, I would have just pushed him out and said, "Oh," and I'd find some oil and I'd squirt. Like, oh yeah, it's a real shame. He was a really good foe. But it turns out later on, he shows up in Captain America 183. So that's like, yeah, it's, almost 3 years later. And he got away. He had a coil that he just wrapped around and swung to safety. And it was just kind of like, let's get it over with. But no more sleepers. I guess it wasn't a sleeper hit. Oh, God, I'm funny. So, anyway, that's my story on the Sleep Ales. And before I wrap up, I have to go to my sponsor, who is me. I do comic book commissions. Penciler and inker. I even hand lettered this cover. This is an 11 by 17 cover that I reduced down to be visual. And there's Iron Fist, Dave Cockrum cover, all the lettering. I miss lettering on covers. There's the one. And I changed this where I made the light source the cosmic cube, and things just kind of get darker as they go under. The shield has a shadow there. Instead of the block of black going around his A, it goes around this side. And terrific fun. And I also do commissions where I'm inking over others. This is a late time Dick Giordano sketch, and it's a little it's rough. It's meant to be a sketch, so I just go in there and I clean it up and I just play around, and it's terrific fun. It's man, Giordano is one of my heroes. He still is. There, tossing that battering at ya. And then my Iron Man one. I love that. That was fun. Try a little something different, And I play around. I do all kinds of styles. I'm not limited to any one. Don't ask me to do. Some guy, he meant well, but he asked me to do like a recreation of a Jim Lee cover to some X-Men, and I was kind of like, that's a lot. That's a lot going on, I don't know. Maybe I could, but it would probably cost a lot more because all that noodly, that delicious Scott Williams ink line that is just the best. So, anyway, that's it. I hope you like this, and that's it. If you got any opinions to add, go ahead below. I will delete anything. I don't, I even had someone quit my show because they had a complaint about it. Instead of me going back and forth and trying to argue the love back, I just said, well, I'm sorry. I'll try and be better about that, or it wasn't my intention. But I didn't. That's all I said. I didn't delete his post. So it's just I don't delete anybody's posts. So my only requirement is I steer clear generally of politics. I don't. We got enough of that shit going on. It's like it's exhausting. So anyway, all of you have a great day. Please leave comments below, and please hit like. And if you like it or not, please hit subscribe. And you can hit the bell at the same spot for notifications of my upcoming videos. And I got a lot more stuff coming up. I'm almost done with. I'll grab right here. Whoa. There. I've been rereading all these crossover classics that are in the giant $135 omnibus of Marvel vs. DC, and man, there's some stinkers. Well, what's weird is there's a bunch of them that have Gen 13, and it's like, they were white hot for like a minute, and then they're like in 4 crossovers. They cross over Spider-Man, cross over with Generation X, they cross over with the Fantastic Four, and then some other. And it was such a chore to slog through because I just found myself not caring for them because they were smack in the middle of 1994. That's just how I felt about it. So, but I will have this done soon. And what's funny is it's reprinted in these books, but it's not going to be in the omnibus because when Jim Lee got hired by DC, they got Wildstorm imprint, and then when they did shortly around right before Rebirth, DC Rebirth, they integrated. They got rid of the Wildstorm universe and made it part of the DC universe. Okay, Drew, shut up. But you're holding people up. People got things to do. See ya. Bye.